bed sheet. Go look at my stuff. I said at the beginning of the last lecture that a class like this can't make you a great writer, but it can equip you with the kinds of tools and techniques you need to start refining your writing. I mean, I can help you become a writer, I can help you get the thing on a page, but the greatest part I'll have to leave up to you. That means, though, that a big part of what you're going to be doing in class might seem from time to time to be a bit mechanical, a bit robotic. I don't want to give you the wrong idea here. Writing is not a plug-and-play game of Mad Libs. Sometimes, most times, we discover the story as we're writing it, more than anything. Still, it can be hard to get to a place where writing begins. So how do I start? Where do I begin the process of discovering the story? Alexander Steele uses the word seed to describe that initial thought that triggers the process. That's a good word, I like that. LaPlante says we must begin by noticing, turning on our internal camera, and looking hard at things. That's maybe a little misleading since it locks us into a very real-world type of story. I prefer to think of the starting place as an image. This image can come from almost anywhere. It can be something like LaPlante's camera and work something like Steele's seed, but it's really nothing more than a flash, a still frame shot of something or someone caught in the act. That brief piece of flash fiction LaPlante gives us from Tobias Wolff is a wonderful example of this. He's on a bus someplace in Richmond, Virginia, and they round a corner and he sees these two people. There, beneath a streetlight, stood a white man and a black woman. The woman wore a yellow dress and held a baby. Her head was thrown back in laughter. The man was red-haired, rough-looking, naked to the waist. His skin seemed luminous. He was grinning at the woman, who watched him closely, even as she laughed. Broken glass glittered at their feet. This little snapshot is momentary. A guy sees this from a passing bus, but all the details are there, and they start to raise so many questions. Why are these people out in the middle of the night? Why's she got a baby? Why is he shirtless? Why is she laughing? Did he just say something rude or vaguely threatening? Is this dude off his rocker? What's with that broken glass at their feet? Why are these two people talking to each other? How did they get there? Where were they coming from? Where were they going? All these questions imply a story. I mean, once the image is there, the questions it raises point us toward the story that stands behind it. Take a second and try this out. Don't think too hard about it. Think of an image. What pops into your head? I see two grown men hugging each other. One of them is just straight up ugly crying. The other one is a little stiff, maybe a little surprised. The crying man has the other man completely wrapped up and he won't let go. How do they get there? Why is this dude crying? Why is the other one not crying? Are they brothers? When was the last time they saw each other? Is this Jacob and Esau? Maybe meeting after later in life? See, now I have an archetype to apply to this narrative. There's a well-known story of brothers in the Bible, but we don't get to hear much about this moment. The Bible kind of glosses this reconciliation, but man, it must have been gnarly. Jacob, the cheater, coming home after almost a lifetime away, and he's totally expecting his brother Esau to be angry and to cast him aside, and instead, Esau embraces him and welcomes him. What was Esau feeling then? What was Jacob's reaction? Maybe it's a weird image. Maybe it's like a little girl in an orange sky and a great big bear. Maybe they're just standing there looking at each other. Maybe the girl does not look scared. Why doesn't she look scared? Why is the sky orange? Where'd that bear come from? And where are they going to go next? Are they buddies or something? The image, the seed, is the starting point because it asks us to imagine answers to the questions that it raises. The great thing about fiction is that there's no image that's incorrect. You're not trying to find out facts here. The facts of the woman with the baby and the shirtless man are probably very boring, but we might be able to get something more like the truth of their interaction in a fictional story. Maybe you're still having a hard time with letting an image just pop into your head. Try this. These are photographs that evoke a still life representation of a deeply felt moment, often with an overwrought or exaggerated body language, a lot like the Renaissance painters tried to capture, except these are unintentional. They're images. Let's see a few. Here's a good one. It's called My Friends Checking Me for Ticks. Where are these guys? How did they get there? What are they talking about as they search their friend's body for ticks? Why are there ticks there? Maybe just think about that one guy, the guy holding the lantern kind of out of frame. He's not dressed like the others. Why not? What's he thinking about in this scene? Does he want to go home? Is he happy he's finally got a group of friends to camp with? Here's a great one. Mother reads to her kids by candlelight during a power outage in the Gaza Strip. There's a lot of upheaval in the background of this picture. But that really juxtaposes with the kind of safe ideas of being home with mom. And mom reading, too. There's a lot of emotional energy caught up in this image. What's that kid there on the right think about all this? How does he feel about his mom? Is he happy to have the distraction from the lights going out? Upset because he still has to do schoolwork? Maybe a little bit of both? One more. This one's called French Dinner. So many competing narratives in this image. Do you want to think about just one of them or all of them? Maybe you have a number of conversations crossing paths with each other here and no one is really listening to anyone else. But that's okay, because the joy of the conversation is just having a person right there in front of you. Maybe that woman with the glasses has just realized something life-changing about herself and her friends. Like, maybe she doesn't want to be with these people anymore. Why not? What did Hoodie across the table there say just now? Look, these images, seeds, can come from anywhere. We just need to take the time to look at them and imagine around them. Something else here, though, is really important. Something LaPlante says that I really agree with, and I usually don't agree with LaPlante. Your job as a writer is not to explain the story, it's to render it. That means we don't shy away from complexities or try to explain away incongruities. No, we represent them. It's not our job to know what those complexities mean. Leave that to the literary critics. It's our job to explode, to make a mess of a scene with fragments and details and complexities and a whole world of ambiguities. Don't solve the riddle, render the mystery. Okay, you've got a seed, but you don't have a story yet. How do you go from seed to story? There's a few steps. Step one, the first thing you need is a character. Remember, characters drive stories. We can't have stories if we don't have characters making decisions. So look at the seed and fill in the blanks. Who are the people? Give them names. Next, explain the situation a little bit. What do they do? Do they have a job or a really defining character trait? Do they have some kind of clear social distinction? What do they do that makes them different from everybody else? Finally, you need to decide on one basic thing about them. What do they want? This could be simple or it could be complex. The more complex it is, the richer the story may be, but it may also be too abstract to be motivating. The best characters will usually want two things. One thing is obvious, concrete, shallow, transitory. The other thing, though, is much deeper and hits at the level of desire, fulfillment, self-actualization. Let's get an example. Jenna is a recent college graduate in communication studies who wants to go back home, but really wants to return to a world that has gone on without her. Or Salim is the youngest son of an engineer who wants to be a superhero who has a base on Mars, but really wants his dad to love his mom. Or Jeff is a gay man new in town who wants to do something traditionally masculine, but really wants to find friendship with other men. You can do this blind, too, even without an image. It could even be a way of conjuring an image. I call this the story machine. Here's what you do. List 6 names. List 6 life situations. List 6 complex desires. Now roll a dice. Roll again. And again. Cool, dude. Go to space. Now, one of your privileges as the author, or maybe a responsibility, is to decide 2 things. Is the thing the character wants what they actually want? Or is there another unacknowledged desire at work? And 2, is it something that will be good for them? Is it something they need? Mike the astronaut wants to be left alone. Sure, but maybe Mike the astronaut really wants to recover from the pain of his wife leaving him, or the loss of his father, or his own sense of failed ambition. Maybe being alone is the worst possible thing for Mike. Will he be left alone? Will it be good for him? Will he get to the moon and find out, shit, there's a resort and a whole bunch of old people chilling up here? How does Mike react to that? Now that you have your image, character plus desire, you need to insert what's keeping them from fulfilling that desire. The most fundamental switch that leads to a character's change is rooted in desire and what they will do to get it. It's best if the conflict is directly related to the character's situation or desire. So Jeff, remember, wants friends to do manly stuff. He wants to camp because camping is manly, he thinks. But all he has is the stupid toy lantern he got from work as a 1-year gift of service, and he hates bugs. And now Bill, his coworker, has asked him to come out to the camping trip with the boys. The boys! What's Jeff gonna do? Desire plus obstacle equals story. Salim keeps trying to read with his mom, but is distracted, daydreaming about superhero stuff. And she's like, don't you want to be smart like your father? And no, he doesn't want to be like his father because his father doesn't listen to his mother, and he loves his mother. And now he's got to honor his mother, who he loves, by honoring his father, who he hates. Conflict, desire plus obstacle equals story. Or Jenna, remember the college grad back home. She's got a bad case of nostalgia, so she goes out with friends, and the whole time Charlie, who she used to have the biggest crush on, is just an absolute douche. And then she realizes that all these people are talking about the exact same crap they were talking about 4 years ago, and nothing has changed for them, but she's just bored out of her mind. But she still misses all these people. But she's the one who can't go back to them. Complexity, ambiguity, conflict. Desire plus obstacle equals story. You can randomize this kind of thing too and plug it into the story machine. In this case, the imposition is best if it's something very concrete. Let's get 6 things, 6 concrete objects to stand in the way of our characters. Marcia is a retired drill sergeant who wants to have an identity, but can't because of the neighbor. Maybe Marcia really likes making floral arrangements. Maybe she's really into Pinterest and likes those tables with the cracked white paint on them that are supposed to look like you dug them out of the trash. Maybe her neighbor Jonathan finds out that she's a retired drill sergeant, and every time he sees her, he's making all these assumptions about what a female drill sergeant is supposed to be. And maybe he keeps expecting her to live up to this cliche. But god damn it, Marcia likes flowers and tacky house furnishings. She doesn't shout hoorah or get up at 5 in the morning and do 6,000 push-ups. She sure as hell doesn't want to dominate anyone. She just wants an identity. And this civvy is up in her grill and makes her so mad she wants to start shouting him down right there on the spot. Now drop it, give me 20. Conflict. Desire plus obstacle equals story. Okay, you try.